Okay, so what you want to do is you want to look inside of the bin folder, which stands for binary. Okay, and then you're going to go into PHP, and you're going to look at your installation version of PHP, which in my case is 5.4.10. And then you're going to look inside of the conf config, basically is what that stands for, but for the conf folder, and you're looking for this one called php.ini. I'm going to open that in a program that I have called Komodo Edit. You can open it in text edit if you want, or probably Dreamweaver or something like that. And I went ahead and I did a search, which you can do with Command F for find, and look for display underscore errors. And what you want is around line 277 or so, depending on the version you're using. And you want to change where it says off to on. Make sure that you keep this uppercase O though. Alright, it needs to be that way. And go ahead and save this. Okay, and we can close this out now. And I thought I stopped the servers, maybe I started them again. I'm going to stop them again. And that's important because if you don't stop them, then it's not going to reread the configuration file. And now you want to start the server, and it rereads that php.ini file again. And if we go here to do a refresh, you have to go back to PHP info here. We'll do a find for display errors. And there it is. And now you see that it's on. Okay, so now anytime we have a problem or an error on the page, it's going to show us what the error is instead of just giving us a blank page. That's a very important step. Okay, so now I can go ahead and I can close this out, and I'm not going to close this, I'm just going to minimize it so it'll go down here. Okay, so now if I were to go just to the local host, it says index of root, and what that means, this /, it means root. It's the root directory of our web serving directory. It's our web root. And that, as a reminder, is our htdocs folder, and we put a shortcut here. We also put it, and so if we go to the Finder window, we have a shortcut here as well. Okay, so you see that there's nothing in there right now, and that's why there's nothing here. So let's go ahead and create a file really quickly, and you could either use something like Komodo Edit or Dreamweaver. I'll go ahead and open Dreamweaver to do mine. Okay, so I open Dreamweaver. I'm going to go to File, New. Okay, and I want to change my doc type to HTML5, although you might see some of my demos that I've done, from a little while back in XHTML. I'm going to try to do the new ones in HTML5, so you might see a blend of the two different ones. And I want to make sure that it's not an HTML file type. I want to make sure that it's PHP. Okay, and right now it's showing me in design view. I'm going to switch over to code view, and it's okay that all of this stuff is here. That's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and, in fact, I can even create that PHP ini file if we wanted to. And so I'm going to get rid of all of this, and I'm just going to type some opening PHP tags and a closing PHP tag, and that's what they look like. It's open bracket, question mark, PHP, and then the ending tag is question mark, close bracket. And then anything that gets passed as an argument in between is going to be the PHP that gets parsed. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate that PHP info page that we were looking at, but I'll show you how simple that is. PHP info is just a function that already exists within the PHP library, so you can just call the function. And so I'm just going to type PHP info, and then it's open and close parentheses, and a terminator, which is a semicolon. And that's all I'd have to do to get that page to show up the way it did. So I'm going to type PHP info, open paren, close paren, and then semicolon to terminate it. And I'm going to save that. And I'm going to save it as a file name called info. And I'll tell you where I'm going to put it is in my htdocs folder. And I'll save it right here at the root level of htdocs. And so now, if I go here to localhost and I refresh it, now you can see there that info file is. If I click on it, it gives me this page again. Okay, so now you can see the relationship between localhost to that htdocs folder. So you understand that htdocs kind of is the localhost folder. So when you type localhost, it automatically looks to that web root of htdocs. Alright, so let's move a little bit further. I'm going to close that file. And let's go ahead and I'm going to jump over here to htdocs, open it in the Finder. I'm going to create a new folder in here. I'm going to call it dev. It stands for development. Some people like to call it sandbox or whatever, but it's where I'm going to put practice files. So you can create like a sandbox or a development folder full of your practice files so that you can test your scripts and stuff. And I'm going to make a new file that's going to go inside of dev. So let's go to create new, PHP. Oh, and by the way, if you don't want to set this every time, let me show you a little trick. In Dreamweaver, you can go up here to Preferences and under File Types, no, it's not File Types, I'm sorry. It's a new document. You can change it so that it will by default always start with a PHP if you want it to. You might not want to change that. You might want to leave that as HTML. That's up to you. But more importantly is that here you can change this so that it chooses HTML5 as your main doc type. Click OK. So now whenever I go to make a new file, I would still have to select PHP, but HTML5 is my default doc type now. Okay, so it's okay that all of this HTML is there because remember, PHP is an embedded language, so it can be embedded within HTML. So I'm actually going to change the title here, and I'm going to call this basic page or something like that, basic or basic page, whatever you want. And then down in the body, I'm going to create some tags like that. And this can be sort of like our starter page that we always open and then save it as something else, so that we already have a set of tags here. And if you wanted to have something just so you can see what it would look like here instead of just having these tags, you could put a command here. So I'll show you the first command, which is echo. And then anytime you want to echo something, you're basically printing it to the screen. You're saying it out loud to the browser so that it will parse it as HTML. So you can say echo, and then if you want to echo a string or like, text or something, then you would put quotation marks. And I like to open and close my quotation marks and parentheses and curly braces and things like that so that I don't forget the last one. But you can do it however you wish. So echo, and then inside the quotes, I'm going to put basic page, something like that. Okay, and then at the end, after the last quotation mark, I'm going to put my terminator. You need to terminate your commands. All right, that's important. And so I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save it inside that dev folder that I created. And we're going to call this basic.php. Save that there. So now if I go back to my web browser, let's just go to localhost, and it gives me my web serving directory listing, and I can go to dev, click on basic PHP, and there it's echoing back basic page to me. Okay, it's doing, and if you were to look at the source code, okay, so I'm in Chrome right now, so I could go to View, Developer, View Source, and basically it's giving me everything here that is here, except that the difference, you see, between this and this is that instead of showing me the PHP script, all it's showing me is the output that PHP output for me. And so that's important for you to realize that it's going to do that. It's not going to show you the script because remember it's server-side scripting, not client-side like say JavaScript or something. Server-side scripting. So the server will parse the script and then it'll digest it and spit back out the results in HTML. Okay. All right, so that's going to end this this demonstration here. If anytime you want to shut down your computer or close things up, you're going to have to stop the servers and you're going to have an administrator password. If you don't have administrator privileges on your computer, then obviously this isn't going to work for you. All right, so there's the demo, and we'll move on.